Hello, sports fans. It is Thursday, December the 13th, the year 2012. And as usual, a lot to get to in the sports world, so let's get it going right now. Believe it or not, we are in week 15 of the NFL season. Only 3 weeks to go, and then we hit the playoffs. Unbelievable how fast football goes. Enjoy it while it's here because it's going by fast. All right, let's get into all the games. Let's get into all the picks. Let's start it right now. Let's go to the Thursday night game tonight. The Cincinnati Bengals at 7-6, fighting for their playoff lives. They are minus 3.5 over the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles, who are 4-9 and had a terrible season. The Eagles did show life last week. They came back and beat the Buccaneers. That was a nice win for the Eagles, a terrible loss for the Bucs. Foles, the quarterback, looks like he has some potential. I have to go with Cincinnati here. The Eagles have to show me they can do it 2 weeks in a row. I don't trust them. I don't love their defense. Must win for Cincinnati. They basically have to win out to make the playoffs. Pittsburgh already beat them in Cincinnati. They play next week in Pittsburgh. Huge game. Cincinnati really needs to win out here to make the playoffs, so they have to have this game. I'm going to take Cincinnati. I don't love the Eagle defense. I think Cincinnati scores enough points and beats the Eagles in Philly tonight in your Thursday night matchup. Let's go to the Sunday games, and there are so many interesting Sunday games. A very good slate of Sunday games. Some of the best games I've seen all year. So let's get to it. Let's go to Chicago, historic Soldier Field, one of my favorite stadiums of all time. The Green Bay Packers at 9-4, minus 3.5 at Chicago, who's 8-5. These two teams fighting for the division. Green Bay already beat Chicago in Green Bay. Very interesting game. Jay Cutler will play. He had the hurt neck last week. He is going to play. Urlacher out. I'm going to say this is a very close game. I'm going to take Chicago, and I'm going to take the 3.5 points. I'm going to say it's a very close game. Green Bay, although they're 9-4, there's a lot of things I don't like about them. I don't like their offensive line. I don't like their injury situation. I don't like their running game. They're always dangerous. They have Rodgers. They have the receivers. They're always dangerous. I'm going to say it's close. I'm going to say it could go either way, but I'll take Chicago with the 3.5 with their defense to keep it close at historic Soldier Field in a very good game. Watch that game if you can. All right, let's move on to another very good game. Let's go to Atlanta. The Atlanta Falcons at 11-2 off a bad loss to Carolina last week where they just got bombarded by Carolina. Minus win over the New York Giants. The Giants at 8-5 had a nice win over the Saints last week. I'm going to take the Falcons here because they were embarrassed by Carolina last week. I say they rebound at home here. Plus the Giants, we know their story in the regular season. They never make it easy. They're up, down, they're here, there. Giants, they can never seem to put together 2 games in a row. So let's see if the Giants can do it first before I start taking them. I'm going to take Atlanta to bounce back and recover from that bad loss to Carolina last week. I'm going to take Atlanta at home. Very interesting game. Another must-watch game. All right, let's go down to the Superdome in New Orleans, Louisiana. The New Orleans Saints at 5-8, minus 3.5 over the Tampa Bay Bucs, who are 6-7. The Bucs, who I've loved all year, they've been playing hard. I like what Shiano's done. I like the improvements that they've made. They had a bad loss last week to Philadelphia. That kind of knocked them out of any playoff aspirations. That was a really bad loss. They had a 21-10 lead at home with 5 minutes to go. Shouldn't have lost that game. It shows me they're not ready. New Orleans has basically had a lost year. No defense, the bounty thing, no coach. Drew Brees struggling the last couple weeks. I'm going to take Tampa because one thing's been consistent with Tampa this whole year. They've been in every game. All their games are close one way or the other. I'll take Tampa plus 3.5. I think they'll score enough points against that Swiss cheese Saint defense. I'll take Tampa to hang in there in the Superdome. Let's move on. Let's go to St. Louis. The St. Louis Rams at 6-1. Unbelievable. Minus 3.5 of the Minnesota Vikings, who are 7-6, also doing a nice job. The Vikings have more than doubled their win total from last year. Adrian Peterson is playing great. And how about the Rams and Jeff Fisher? The Rams are 6-1. Unbelievable job. They're not all that great, the Rams. They do have a nice defense. They need some more weapons, but 6-1. Who would have ever thought the Rams would be this good? I'm going to say it's a very close game. Could go either way. I'll take Minnesota in 3.5. It's a little too high for my liking, having the Rams favored by 3.5. I think it could go either way. I'll take Minnesota with the points. Very interesting game. Let's move on. Let's go to Cleveland. The Cleveland Browns at 5-8, showing signs of improvement. This game is off the board with the Washington Redskins, who are 7-6, because Robert Griffin III, we don't know if he's going to play. He has the sprained knee. Redskins off the big win against the Giants, then the big win against the Ravens. Redskins are in the playoff hunt. To me, if Griffin plays, they win. If he doesn't, Cleveland's going to win this game. It's as simple as that. Cleveland has shown improvement. Their defense is playing better. Whedon looks like he has some ability. Like I said, if Griffin plays, I like Washington. If he doesn't, I like Cleveland. Let's move on. Let's go down to Miami, South Florida. The Miami Dolphins at 5-8, -7 over the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are 2-11 and going nowhere. This is Henny's return to Miami. I mean, I don't know what to make of this game. You got to like Miami, I guess, here in this game. Miami has sputtered recently. They had a nice start to the season. They've done nothing recently. Jacksonville, after a couple of decent weeks, has gone back to their losing ways. They've had 2 bad weeks in a row. They've got bombed by Buffalo. Then they lost to the Jets. I'll take Miami. I'm sure there'll be a small crowd here in Miami. I think Miami's just a little too good for Jacksonville. I'll take Miami -7 over Jacksonville in South Florida. Let's move on. Here's an interesting game. The Denver Broncos at 10-3, who are on fire, -2.5 over the Baltimore Ravens, who are 9-4 and sputtering. Ravens just fired their offensive coordinator. Very strange they fired their offensive coordinator this late in the season. Ravens, a very good home team, very vulnerable on the road. This is a very important game for home field. Very important game for home field. And for Baltimore, that means everything. I'm going to take Baltimore because they're home here. Reluctantly, believe me, if you like Denver, I can definitely understand that. I'm going to take Baltimore at home. They've been a very good home team. They've only lost 1 home game in the last couple of years. I think Baltimore responds here. I think they're going to be a little angry. We'll see if Suggs plays. We'll see if Ray Lewis gives them a boost if he plays. I think Baltimore is going to get the job done. Denver's had a long winning streak. They're due for a loss. I'll take Baltimore here in the upset at home. All right, let's move on to Houston. The Houston Texans at 11-2. Off their just beating they took to the New England Patriots on Monday night. -8.5 over the Indianapolis Colts, who are 9-4 and one of the hottest teams in the league. The Colts can do no wrong. They come back and beat Tennessee last week. They beat the Lions the week before at the buzzer. I think Houston's going to be angry. They have a chance to win their division this week. They don't want to lose this game and have the Colts only 1 game back and then have to play the Colts last game of the year in Indianapolis. This is a big game for Houston to get back on their winning ways. The Colts are a very good home team. They could beat the losing teams. I don't think they're ready for this kind of challenge. I don't love the Colt defense. I don't love the Colt defense on the road. Luck is better at home. I like Houston to rebound in a big way and smash the Indianapolis Colts in Houston. Let's move on to San Diego. The San Diego Chargers at 5-8. They actually showed some life last week and beat the Steelers. Nice win by them. -3 over the Carolina Panthers, who are 4-9. Panthers have had an awful season. They did have a nice win over the Falcons last week. This is funny. These 2 teams have been so disappointing this year, but they did have nice wins last week. Carolina did beat Atlanta, and San Diego did beat Pittsburgh. Cam Newton looked better last week, so I don't know what to make of this game. San Diego is home. Long trip for Carolina across the country. I'll take San Diego. I don't love them. I never like taking them. You can never trust them, but you can't trust Carolina this year either. I'll take San Diego so they get the job done at home. Let's move on. Let's go to Toronto. Buffalo has their annual game in Toronto this week. The Seattle Seahawks are -5 over the Buffalo Bills. This game will be played in Toronto. Seattle at 8-5, looking to get into the playoffs. Buffalo at 5-8, very disappointing. Can never win 2 games in a row. I mean, every time you think Buffalo is going to go on a winning streak, they let you down. They lose a home game to the Rams last week. They were leading most of the way. I don't care if this game was played in Buffalo, if it was played in Seattle, Toronto, on the moon, Jupiter. I don't care where it was played. Seattle's better than Buffalo. I don't trust Buffalo. I like Seattle's defense. I like that Seattle won 2 weeks ago in Chicago. If they won 2 weeks ago in Chicago, they could certainly win up in Toronto against Buffalo. I like Seattle -5 over the Bills in Toronto. Let's go to Arizona. The Detroit Lions at 4-9, who've lost a bunch of games in a row. They find new and creative ways to lose every week. Also, -6 over the Arizona Cardinals, who are 4-9 and lost 9 games in a row. How embarrassing. The Cardinals, Cobb now out for the year. I guess they're going with Skelton. Lindley couldn't quarterback. Fitzgerald lost. Running backs always hurt. Offensive line, the worst I've ever seen. Arizona defense is decent, but they gave up, 100 points to Seattle last week? I know Arizona is home here this week. I know you can't trust Detroit, but I can't take Arizona after they just lost 100-0 to Seattle. I just can't do it. I'll take Detroit reluctantly. I'll take Detroit -6 over Arizona. Let's move on. Here's another interesting game with playoff aspirations on both sides. The Pittsburgh Steelers at 7-6 off their bad loss at home in San Diego last week. -1 over the Dallas Cowboys, who are home. Dallas is also 7-6. Dallas had a nice win in Cincinnati last week after the tragedy they had the day before. Very, very interesting game. Bryant will play for Dallas. I'm going to take Dallas, and here's why. They're home, and I don't like what's going on with the Steelers' offensive line. Every year the Steelers' offensive line seems to have a rash of injuries. Again, it's cropping up. All sorts of guys on the offensive line are hurt. They're juggling the offensive line. Roethlisberger looked really rusty last week. I'll take Dallas. Plus, Pittsburgh can afford to lose this game if they can beat Cincinnati the week after. So the Cincinnati game for Pittsburgh is more important than this Dallas game. So I'll say Dallas gets the job done here. Very big game for both teams. More so for Dallas this week, though. Let's move on to Oakland. Here's a beauty of a game. The Oakland Raiders at home, -3 over the Kansas City Chiefs. Oakland's 3-10, one of the worst defenses I've ever seen. Kansas City is 2-11. They lost 30-7 to Cleveland last week. Who do you take in this game? I'll take Oakland for 2 reasons. They're home and Carson Palmer. I don't like Brady Quinn as the Kansas City quarterback. Kansas City showed some life 2 weeks ago after their tragedy, but last week they reverted right back to form. They got bombed by Cleveland after scoring the first points of the game. They give up 30 straight points. I'll take Oakland. I'll give up the 3. I mean, what a terrible game that is. Let's go to the Sunday night game. A big matchup on Sunday night. The New England Patriots, off their big win against Houston on Monday night, come back and now host the Niners on Sunday night. What a big back-to-back for the New England Patriots. New England at 10-3, Niners at 9-3-1. New England's a 5.5-point favorites. I'm going to take the Niners. Believe me, if you like the Patriots, I understand. They look so impressive on Monday night. I want to see if they can do it 2 weeks in a row. The Niners, I want to see if the Patriots can do it against the Niners defense. I also want to see the Niners offense against the Patriot defense. I want to see Kaepernick against that Patriot defense. This is a litmus test for San Francisco. I say they respond. I say they keep it close. I like San Francisco's defense. I don't think New England can repeat that performance on Monday night again this week. I'll take San Francisco plus 5.5 at New England. And the Monday night game. Now, I went through some of the Sunday night games, but the Monday night game is atrocious. The Sunday night games are Sunday games are good. Sunday night game is good. Monday game's atrocious. Tennessee at home at 4-9, -1 of the Jets, who are somehow 6-7 and won 2 in a row and still in the playoff hunt. I don't know what to make of this game. I'll take Tennessee just because they're home on Monday night. Maybe that gets them excited. Maybe they're excited to play on Monday night. For no reason other than that, I'll take Tennessee. Awful Monday night game. Awful Monday night game. And like I said, very good games this week in Sunday and Sunday night, but not the Monday night game. So that's where we stand in the NFL as of week 15. We'll see how it goes this weekend. A few news and notes. Last night in the NBA, Golden State goes into Miami and beats the Heat. How good is Golden State playing? They don't even have Bogut yet. They traded for Bogut in the offseason. He's the big center. He hasn't played yet, and they still have an amazing record, Golden State. And they went into Miami and beat Miami. Unbelievable job by Mark Jackson, by Curry, by Lee. Tremendous job by Golden State. They are the surprise team in basketball this year. And if they ever get Bogut back, they could be even better. Nice job by Golden State. Miami's sputtering. They have a championship hangover. I mean, we know they're the best team, but they have a little bit of a hangover. They're not playing great. Utah beat San Antonio last night in Utah. Utah hits a 3 at the buzzer. Good game there. And Boston at home in 2 overtimes beats Dallas last night. Another good game. Tonight in the NBA, you have the Lakers at the Knicks. The Lakers invade Madison Square Garden. The Lakers limp into the Garden. You got to love the Knicks here. The Knicks are on a roll. The Lakers can't do anything right. You got to love the Knicks here. Over the weekend, some NBA games to watch. Saturday, Golden State at Atlanta. 2 very good, surprising teams. Brooklyn at Chicago. Interesting game. Clippers at Milwaukee. Boston at San Antonio, Memphis at Houston, Memphis at Utah. A couple interesting games to keep your eye on over the weekend in the NBA. I also caught the women's national team, the women's soccer team last night, the women's national soccer team last night. They had a friendly in Houston against China. They won 4-0. I'll tell you, if you like soccer, tune into the women's national team. They are very, very impressive. They won the gold medal this last summer. The women's national team for the USA is very impressive, always fun to watch, and they win just about all of their games, so I watched them last night. College basketball this weekend. We have some interesting games on Saturday. Butler in Indiana, Notre Dame and Purdue. Those 2 games are from Indianapolis. You have West Virginia against Michigan. That's Beeline for Michigan going against his old club in West Virginia. That's Bob Huggins' team. Louisville at Memphis. Very interesting game on Saturday. And a big game on Saturday. Florida at Arizona. Number 5 Florida at number 8 Arizona. Very interesting game. If you're going to watch a college basketball game over the weekend, that's the one to watch. Also, 2 bowl games on Saturday. We get the bowl games rolling. I went through the picks yesterday. You have the New Mexico Bowl. You have Arizona and Nevada. Should be a high-scoring game there. And you have the Idaho Potato Bowl in Boise. Utah State, who's a very surprising team this year against Toledo. So you get your bowl season underway there. So a lot going on in the sports world. You got your Thursday night game in the NFL tonight. You got your NBA tonight, Lakers, Knicks. You got your NBA all over the weekend. You got some college basketball on Saturday. You got some bowl games on Saturday. You got great NFL on Sunday and Sunday night. Monday night, not such a great Monday night game, but what can you do? So that's where we are in the sports world right now. I will be back with you Monday. We will recap everything that went on over the weekend, and I'm sure there'll be a lot to recap. I'm sure this week in the NFL will be wild and woolly. A lot going on. All right, so you guys, stay safe. Enjoy your weekend. I will talk to you soon. Thanks for tuning in. Talk to you Monday. Have a great weekend. Take care.